Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is HeroQuest, and today we are looking at OtherWorld Miniatures, which is a web store based in the UK that has been around since 2006, supplying high-quality 28mm miniatures to your fantasy board games and your tabletop warfares. We're going to be looking at several of the pictures of these, and then not just because I am a signal booster and site overviewer, but also a customer, we will be looking at some actual minis. So stay tuned for that. Okay, a win right off the bat. First of all, we have a naming convention here. We have different series, different product categories. The BB series, which is the official Beowulf Beast Slayer miniatures. DAB series, Dungeon Adventures box sets. We're looking at DM series for Dungeon Monsters, and I wanted to get a close-up of these Dagonite Fishman Warriors, of which there are 3, because there are 3 of them, and they are Fishman Warriors, and their 28mm classic fantasy vibe could make them very viable abominations, perfect abominations for your classic HeroQuest game. Why would you want those? Well, maybe you have quests that are thematic. They are tailored to the current day abominations. And if you try to translate that to a classic quest, which some folks do, many folks do, I don't know, I do it, then you might be wanting for that Fishman aesthetic, that feel, as an alternative to your Famir. There are 3 here, which is exactly how many abominations come with the base game of HeroQuest. That's exactly how many Famir come with the base game of classic HeroQuest. So this would be an awesome addition, I think, to your HeroQuest homebrew. And this is only 14 Great British pounds. They do ship to the US. Just to clarify to those new to the channel, I am in the US and they did ship to me, so. But Ash, we knew you were from the US. That's obvious. You don't know. You don't know. I could be living in Australia or somewhere. I've got that American accent, I'm certain, but doesn't mean I'm in America, but I am. The FS series for Fantasy Scenics, HT for Humanoid Tribes, FF for Official Fighting Fantasy Miniatures. These were limited edition. They're not going to come back, but this is the actual store that sold this Zagor miniature. He looks awesome. I really wish that this wasn't limited because I'd love to have this miniature at my table. I would 1000% use Zagor as an enemy named character in HeroQuest. No question about it. By the way, these minis are supplied unpainted, so what you are seeing is just a lovely painted representation of what they could look like if you have as much talent as the painters at the store. Dungeon Monsters favors the Dungeons and Dragons players, but look at this beholder. It's a classic beholder, truly an original, a very nostalgic beholder. Now they are so much more teeth and threatening, and their reputation precedes them, but this is how it all started. It'd be lovely to run into one of these in classic D&D and, die afterwards. 16 Great British pounds. Some of these miniatures, they're going to feel like a great value. Other ones are just going to feel like they are worth the cost because of their premium quality. If you're looking for a good HeroQuest troll, this troll from the Dungeon Monsters series, 10 Great British pounds. I want to say if Skaven are canonical in your regular HeroQuest game, in your homebrew campaign, then trolls should be as well, since the troll was introduced alongside the Skaven in that Marvel Winter Special, where 3 different kinds of Skaven were given stats for use with the European and UK versions of HeroQuest. Let's get to looking at these non-player characters in the NP series. There are a lot, and they are very economically priced for 6 Great British pounds. We've got the Innkeeper. And then all the prices for the minis going forward till further notice are going to be between 5.50 and 7 Great British pounds, which translates wonderfully to USD. It's not an exact one-to-one, but it's fairly close. Okay, here we have NP11, the Dancing Girl. You definitely want to utilize her in one of your town quests, one of your town-based quests or settlement-based quests if you're doing those for your homebrew HeroQuest campaign. You could put her in the dungeon, but your heroes are not going to trust what they find. She could also be a damsel in distress. A Dwarven Blacksmith, an absolute must-have for Keller's Keep, or just to have as a blacksmith for your homebrew upgrades for weapons. An elf bowyer, this is a fantastic idea. This is an elf actively making a bow, and this is another potential upgrade character, somebody who can upgrade the bows and crossbows and stuff that your characters have, rather than blacksmithing add-ons to your swords and your broadswords and your battle axes. The Halfling Cook. The halfling cook could be the NPC that sells you the potions specifically in HeroQuest between quests. And then there is the merchant who sells a variety of what have yous. The beggar, who could appear in your town quests as a sort of humbled super being, or not a humbled, a super being that's disguising themselves as a humble beggar to see what the reactions of your heroes are. Do they shun him, scorn him, drive him away, or do they offer what gold they can into his cup, a sizable amount showing the size of their heart? And how will this trickster god in disguise respond? I think doing a campaign where in between the quests, you kind of roll to see which NPCs are available, and then basically taking the merchant and splitting up all of his different categories of items onto each NPC. So your halfling cook will have the body potions of healing, things like that, potions of strength if you're using those. If you have expansions where they've got the additional alchemical shops, your halfling cook can have that role, or the halfling cook can just do certain things. And another NPC, such as this old druid, who I don't think should have been an NPC. He looks like a hero in his own right. He'd make a fantastic classic HeroQuest druid. I really, really like this sculpt. I can't believe I missed this the first time I was here, actually. Could be the kind of character who is doing the more magically inclined potions, magical throwing daggers, wizard staff, things like that. You can incorporate the dancing girl into your game however you want. Perhaps there are some characters who will refresh their mind points or their body points. I would probably do body points if you meet up with the innkeeper. If the innkeeper's not available, then there's no refreshes for any of the heroes. Maybe a very minor one, or a half the amount. Everybody gets half their body points max back. Oh, and perhaps if the merchant is active in between quests, that's who you can sell your equipment and stuff to in order to get more gold. So if he's not there, these other ones don't buy anything. So I think that would be a really cool way to incorporate NPCs into your HeroQuest game. You don't necessarily need to have miniatures for that, but you could also make it into a quest proper. So you kind of play the same quest in between other quests, but all of the heroes get a chance to interact with each of the NPCs. And who knows, maybe you roll for events and some monsters can sneak in and you have to kill the monsters to either get a discount or just rush ahead, get out of there, let the monsters do as they please, and you go on to the next quest and roll for whoever the next set of merchants will be. That's the mechanic. The denizens roll between quests, and they're different depending on whether or not you let the last ones live previously in the previous market visit. I really like this lantern bearer concept. This could be somebody who leads a party through a homemade dungeon that is completely dark. And if you are not in the line of sight of his lantern, you could be attacked by a monster, a skaven perhaps, something that lurks in the dark. So must always be in the same corridor or same room or otherwise in line of sight. Makes it really challenging when he has to turn a corner or go into another room. And then the light of his lantern is now obscured by walls and around corners. NP39 is Captive Princess Standing, and she looks straight out of a Conan movie. She looks awesome. UD series is the Undead, and they have some masterful sculpts going on here. This is the Lich, and colored this way, I love this miniature. The Lich is amazing. Love it. Big fan. Love the beating heart at the end of the staff with candelabra and ram horns. Very symbolic, very necromancer. There is another version of this Lich that is very much just ritualistic dagger instead of full-fledged mage. This one's in the process of gaining incredible magic power. The Death Knight on foot. This is an awesome Draugr, perhaps? An awesome monster that is essentially a skeleton in armor, but one that is very strong and has very vivid memories of his learned warriorness. It's coming for you. Or her, she. Death Knight mounted on Wyvern. This is one of the most awesome sculpts on this site, period. This guy, he looks crazy. He looks like he is ready for battle, screaming, screeching into battle, not going to stop, blood frenzy, bone frenzy, going to stay on the battlefield until everyone is slain, or him, whoever goes down first. And the Wyvern, I love this Wyvern sculpt. I love it. This is £26.25. It would almost be worth buying two, using one for HeroQuest and using the other one Wyvern, assuming that they come separately, which I'm sure that they do come as separate sculpts. Death knight and wyvern, using that wyvern in talisman. We've got some run-of-the-mill skeletons here. They look really cool. They're dynamic. They are action posed, ready to fight. But we've also got armored skeletons who've got on different interpretations of the word armor, different cultures perhaps, just peasants. They were able to arm themselves with whatever they had before they were turned unalive and then turned undead. Shadows, these guys are currently out of stock as of the time of this video, but other things are out of stock that I was able to actually order when they were in stock. So I would say keep an eye on things and wait for things to get back into stock. Out of stock doesn't necessarily mean that it's gone forever, unless it was a limited edition print like the Zagor Mini. UD6 whites, 10 pounds for these two fellas. Lovely new monster type. This is Johnny Depp as Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street. Fleet Street could be your next homemade dungeon. These are wraiths. What's the difference between wraith and other types of undead? That's mainly up to you and your campaign. You can draw from a variety of different interpretations to make the distinction, though. The point is, they look really cool. I'm going to use them. The boy's happy to see the sculpt of the vampire. He is lunging forward. You could actually put another mini here or kit bash somebody, and then he would actually be leaning in to bite someone's neck actively. You could have something else here, a beating heart in his clawed hand, lunging forward, getting ready to bite into the heart as he resumes his business, whether that's running outside to prepare to transform into a bat or a wolf or a mist and go hunting for his next victim, or to gain power from the heart that he eats and get ready to attack the hero upon whom he is advancing. This 4 pounds, 4 pounds, that's a deal. These are metal, by the way. I don't know if that was immediately obvious to you. Expert painters, it probably was. But the coolest thing about this site is the Overstock sale page, where you can go and just add several minis to your collection because they are all pretty cheaply priced. We've got Beowulf, 4 pounds, Grendel, 7, Grendel's mother, 6. That's the entire Grendel line. A Hook Horror for $5.50, a Psionic Slayer for $4. It's not unusual to see 4 Great British Pounds, 3 Great British Pounds, 25. This is a Drow Captain. We've got Brain Moles for $1.75. Driders for various prices, but the Driders are going to be big. These look like they take up a grid of 3x3 squares. The Night Hag, the Doppelganger, the Evil Cult Leader. Ochre jellies, gray oozes and green slimes, yellow molds, shriekers, and violet fungi. Can I call them violent fungi? Red Knee, the Eater of Corpses for only 12 GBP. Konar, the Dissenter, carnivorous apes. But it's not just monsters that you'll find on this store. You'll also find a lot of really convincing heroes. Again, they are supplied unpainted and unassembled. You'll get the Slotta base round, you'll get the mini. It may come in a few pieces. You may have to glue those pieces together. But if you are knowledgeable about buying miniatures and watching this channel, it's not going to be your first rodeo. The female magic user in robes. Ambiguous as to the class. Could be a warlock. Could replace your warlock character in HeroQuest. Actually would make a great classic warlock rather than replace your contemporary warlock. She's only 3. She's only 3 pounds. FA26, the female monk in robes, she's also only 3 pounds. Dwarf fighter in plate mail, 2 pounds 25. Amazing deal. Make yourself an army of dwarves. Female elf druid in leather armor. So at this point, I've said enough about the site and the images here. You should be able to get a good idea whether or not it would be valuable for you to just go to the site and do the thing I keep saying I'm not trying to do, which is spend more of your hard-earned money on stuff that I show you. But now's the point in the video where I'm going to show off what I got from the web store. Let's get the boring part out of the way first. They do provide you with Slotta bases, various sizes. They are circles. I say Slottas, but some of your minis are going to be more of the type that you just glue directly onto the base. Others, you'll have different sizes of slots on bases that are also different sizes. I believe this is my cleric. She is finely sculpted. She's going to go just fine with my HeroQuest stuff. She is wielding a flail with 2 spiked balls on chains. Let's see, her arm is around here somewhere. Okay, I might have to go look for her arm, but there she is on her base. Going to just visit the inn for now. Oh, here it is. Found it. It is holding up a talisman in defiance of an encroaching evil. Very easy to drop. Don't drop it. There it is, the full pose. She's fantastic. I wanted more female heroes, and that is what I got. And so we've got the female paladin who comes in a few different parts. We've got an arm with a sword here that will attach. So she'll look something like this, but then we have the option of supplying her. We have the option of supplying her with an additional sword or a shield. I haven't decided what I want to do yet. Probably going to do a shield, so I'll have more of a knight character. But she's going to lay her prostheses on the table and have a chat with the cleric. There's a suit of armor mini that I think is 100% necessary for classic games of HeroQuest where you may not have the knight statues of Rise of the Dreadmoon and you want a great sub for those. This can be used for that. It can also be used for a piece of furniture in a room, any given room, where the heroes might be able to inspect the armor. And this could lead to getting new equipment, or perhaps the armor could come alive and become a Draugr. In fact, headpiece design differences notwithstanding, it could become this monster. This is the Death Knight that we saw earlier on the screen. He's unpainted, so that this will give you a great idea of what they actually look like when you have them. This one came in two parts, the Death Knight and the cape. And the reverse side of this miniature is not too telling. So like the cape is completely optional. You would not have to put it on there for this miniature to make sense. However, you definitely could. There are tiny little divots inside the miniatures that need to be assembled, and tiny, it's hard to call them pegs, but they're protrusions into which, and you can stick these protrusions into the divots on the mini to get the exacting pose that the mini was intended to have. These are pretty soft metals, so you could really bend these swords and stuff if you tried, but they still hold up to regular use quite well. They're not going to accidentally bend or anything like that. We saw this lady earlier too. Of course, I got the female wearing the robes, so I would have a wizard that looked like she was actively adventuring. I love the pose on this one. Love the knife. Love the torch. Doesn't take anything away from the wizard concept. Just adds a little bit more option to it, and she comes as one piece. So super easy to kit bash onto a HeroQuest base. It occurs to me I need soft metal HeroQuest bases instead of gluing them onto plastic ones all the time. Now that would be something I'd buy, and I'd probably go broke. But that's the thing I do, kit bash metal miniatures onto those kinds of bases. This miniature is a little bit more difficult to explain and describe. This is an elf, very princess-like, very lovely sculpt, awesome hair, cool armor, cape. Comes in three pieces though. One piece is this dagger, which has not a hand or anything attached to it. This will actually get glued to the elf's waist. And the other piece, you might have thought that it would go in one hand and that the other piece I have is actually her other hand or her arm. But if it'll stay still, it is an arm with a hand holding a book and another hand supporting the book shape, or scroll, actually. This is a scroll that's being opened up. I apologize, the details were very small, but this actually get attached to both of those, and then you've got this elf reading the scroll actively. So this could be your female elf counterpart, if we didn't already have the female elf from the classic Mage of the Mirror. And that is it. That is my score from OtherWorld miniatures. I really like the store. I really love the sculpts. I plan on getting a lot more. It's just a matter now of picking and choosing what I would like to have. Now that I've gone with a perfectly safe assortment, I have in my hands the Succubus mini, which I also bought and will unbox, but not on this channel. You'll have to be a patron to get access to this one because, you know, she-nakey. But Ash, it doesn't matter. It's going to be artistic and sculptured, and give me money. You want to see the Batwoman? You got to cough up the dosh. I mean, you'll also get other benefits as well. It's up to you. You don't have to do anything. You can just enjoy the free content. But that is it for now, brave heroes. So thank you very much for watching. Drop a comment down below, like the video, tell me what you thought about this stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your day, and bye for now.